Hey guys, welcome to Film Learnin, the show dedicated to learning you some filmmaking and learning you good. Well, if you can't tell by my outfit, we're doing Pokemon effects this week. Specifically, the Pokemon throw and reveal effect from my sketch, Worst Pokemon Battle Ever. Click over here and check it out if you haven't seen it. You never know, you might enjoy it. The only thing I noticed is just how damn skinny I am in it. I mean, does this guy even lift? No, he didn't. Now, this effect isn't hard to do at all. Hey, you know who else isn't hard to do at all? My mom! Sorry, I've been cannonballing regular show for the past few nights. Anyway, what you'll need to complete this effect is some footage of both your actor throwing the ball and your Pokemon, or anything else you'd like to comp in. In my example, I'll be using the rotoscope sheep from the episode. In any case, be sure to shoot that subject and your actor on a green screen, because the second thing you'll need is to download the speedline clips in the description to make up our backgrounds. And our last item is a 3D Pokeball clip that I produced in Cinema 4D for us to simulate that throw. Got 'em? Well, let's get into it! Okay, so our first step is to add the Pokeball to our throw footage. As you can see in my shot, I've done the stereotypical zoom out from a close-up. Whether you do this or keep it static is up to you. I've already keyed the footage, so we're ready to go. Let's head over to the project menu, grab our Pokeball footage and drag and drop it into our comp. Next, we want to scrub forward to the beginning of the throw where my hand opens up all the way. Position the ball into place and scale it up or down if you need to. From there, hit P and hit the stopwatch on position. We'll then scrub forward to near the end of the Pokeball clip and reposition it so that it takes up the whole frame. If you've scaled the clip down previously, you'll have to animate the scale back to 100% at this point. We'll then turn on motion blur for the comp and our layers. Right, now that we're happy with the throw, we still have a problem. The ball just appears in your hand, and that's where this still comes into play. Drag and drop it into the comp below the footage and we'll scrub forward to the point where I start to raise up my hand. Next, drag it into position and scale it up or down if you need to. Hit Ctrl-Shift-D and delete the excess from the front. Hit P and we'll hit the stopwatch going frame by frame, tracking the ball to our hand movements. Once my hand goes back behind my head, we'll stop and then we'll once again hit Ctrl-Shift-D. This time we won't delete it though. Drag your excess clip on top of your footage. We'll then scrub forward a couple of frames until the hand is visible again and place it on top. This might look weird now, but once we add motion blur, you won't even notice it. Next, hit P and we'll animate this frame by frame like the previous still until we meet up with our Pokeball animation. When we do, hit Ctrl-Shift-D and delete that excess. Turn on motion blur for the layers and let's check out a preview. Pretty nice. Now that our throw's done, time for the reveal. So I've got my footage of a sheep. I honestly hope that your Pokemon is better. It's all keyed out and it's ready to go. Make sure you're on the first frame because what we're going to do is hit Ctrl-Alt-S. This will capture a single frame of our clip as a Photoshop file. I've already got mine rendered out and imported and it's ready to go. We'll grab that file and drag and drop it into our comp. From there, head up to Effect, Color Correction and select Exposure. We'll then crank up the amount and the offset until it blows out the picture to a pure white. Next, we'll head up to Effect, Distort and we'll grab Liquify. Set the Liquify effect to the twirl tool and crank up the brush size to 600 and the brush pressure to 100. Select a point on your still and twirl the hell out of it. Once you're done, hit the stopwatch on distortion percentage, scrub forward 1 second in the comp and crank that back down to 0. Next, head up to Effect, Stylize and add a glow. Lower the threshold to around about 33 and crank the radius to around 87. Turn on motion blur for the comp and the layer and we now have our release animation. From there, we'll head back to our sheep comp, drag and drop our animation straight on in. Next, hit T on the keyboard to bring up opacity, scrub forward to a few frames after the end of our twirl animation and set a keyframe. Skip forward about 6 frames and then crank that opacity down to 0. From there, we'll reposition our sheep footage on the timeline to marry up with our fade out. Let's check out a preview. Alright, it's getting there. Okay, all the hard work's done. Last step, those sweet anime backgrounds. Okay, last step, the backgrounds. These are super easy. For starters, we'll head up and grab a new solid. I'm making mine a bluish green, but that's up to you. Drag and drop it under your footage, and next step is to head up to Effect, Generate and add a ramp. Choose the top color to be your solids color and choose whatever you want as the secondary color. Have a play with the locations of each color within your ramp and find a balance that works right for you. Next, I'm going to hit S to bring up scale and scale up my solid, and then hit R to bring up rotation and just rotate it so I get that nice diagonal look. Now that that's done, time to add our speed lines. Drag and drop the speed line clips into your comp, above your solid, but below your footage, and then we'll scale it up a little bit. Next, we'll head up to Effect, Color Correction, and add a tint. We'll select a brighter blue for our speed lines. From there, head up to Effect, Stylize, and add a glow. We'll then change the radius to 24, just to blow it out a little bit. One more thing, head up to Effect, Blur and Sharpen, and add a camera lens blur. We'll crank the radius up to about 9. We'll then duplicate our speed lines twice, scale them down to slightly different sizes, and adjust the blur amount on both so they look a little different. You can also go up to the tint effect and change the color if you'd like to. For our throw background, you only have to use one set of speed lines, but the ramp is a little different. For this one, we'll select the ramp colors and then crank the top color down to the point where it almost looks like a solid color. We'll then hit R and rotate it 90 degrees. You'll also want to scale it up manually so that it fits the frame. Next, duplicate that layer and then rotate it to the opposite direction so that the dark parts actually meet up in the middle like a column. Lastly, we'll add our speed lines to the comp, adding the glowing blur effects that we added with the last background. And that's it. Add up all those steps and you should get something like this. I choose you, Sheepator! So that's a Pokemon throw and reveal effect. It's not hard, you don't need any third-party plugins, and let's face it, who doesn't want to be a Pokemon master? Tune in next week and we'll be tackling another long overdue request that may get a frosty reception. Wonder what that might be. If you're new here, or just on the fence, do the clicky dance on the subscribe button, like and share up the video, and as always my friends, keep learning!